The New Zealand Government is contributing $3.8 million to the Fred Hollows Foundation to build a new eye clinic in the Solomon Islands.
The state-of-the-art centre will double the number of patients that doctors can treat there. Laura McDonald reports.
Luke Tayamane was blind for 20 years because of cataracts. After a 20-minute surgery, his sight was restored. 4 out of 5 people in the Pacific could also have their sight returned with a simple operation.
Avoidable blindness means that it is a cause or condition that could be prevented or treated.
Doctors and nurses trained by the Fred Hollows Foundation are waiting on the new eye centre so they can use their skills.
It's going to be a regional eye care centre, not just for the Solomon Islands, but also for the regional Pacific.
At the moment, 3 ophthalmologists operate out of one small clinic, doing surgeries only once or twice a week.
Now that a new regional eye care centre will be established, they will be able to provide solely eye care in that centre, and they will be able to do many surgeries.
They'll do nearly 2,000 surgeries a year, compared to the 480 currently performed in poor conditions. It'll come at a cost of nearly $4 million.
It is a significant amount, but it's when you consider 80,000 people classified as blind, it's not that big an investment.
A construction team led by Greg Charteris will head to Honiara next month to start the work.
This job is smaller in quantum of money and materials, but it's highly technical, building a facility of this high technology compared to building ordinary houses.
94% of the building's power will derive from solar energy, a system designed by the same team that installed solar panels on Auckland Museum last week. Honiara has about 10 power cuts every day, so the solar energy will keep the centre going.
The drive for this building was to have the building fully self-sustainable.
And with 80,000 potential patients on the books, there'll be no time for power cuts. Laura McDonald, 3 News.
Joining me now is the Executive Director of the Fred Hollows Foundation, Andrew Bell. Hi there, Andrew.
Good morning.
How important is this $3.8 million?
This is huge. It's really difficult for me to put it into words exactly what impact this is going to make. It actually comes on the back of a long program that started way back in 2006 when Phil Goff was Foreign Minister, and he started the investment in eliminating avoidable blindness across the Pacific. We established the Pacific Eye Institute in Suva to train ophthalmologists, doctors to be specialist eye doctors, and nurses to be specialist eye nurses. The Solomon Islands were way ahead in taking up the opportunity. Now we have this great team of 20 eye nurses, 3 soon to be 4 ophthalmologists in the Solomon Islands, and it was appropriate that we invested to give them the infrastructure so they can do the work that they're trained to do.
Why is avoidable blindness so common in the Pacific?
It's not really that common in the Pacific compared to the rest of the world. Avoidable blindness is something that happens to everyone. Cataracts develop because we all get old, and everybody will develop a cataract at some stage in their life. But where you haven't had surgical services for a long time, you get what we call the backlog. And that is where you've got this build-up of patients needing the surgery. And so we need to get the capacity in there to be able to do. So it does feel as if there's a lot of extraordinary incidents. But in actual fact, once we get over the backlog, they'll be able to sustain an eye care service that'll be like anywhere in the world.
The Fred Hollows Foundation has been active in this for, 20 years or so. Does it feel like you're making progress in tackling this problem?
That's the exciting part about it. This is really the sharp end of our program. This is the culmination of all the years of work, of petitioning, of training. We didn't even get this clinic built on the first attempt. I think this was the 4th attempt we had to try and get the funding for this. So this is hard work, but it's really motivating once we get to this point where we literally are eliminating avoidable blindness. We've set targets by eliminating avoidable blindness by 2020, which is a worldwide campaign, and we're on track in many Pacific Island countries to get there.
Does it exist in New Zealand, or is it just that we have the facilities here to be able to cope with it?
Yeah, we benefit as New Zealanders from world-class eye care. We get the ability to access surgeons and optometrists at the drop of a hat. But in many, many places in the developing world, that's simply not the case.
What's the fate of those with blindness in these communities?
Yeah, it's awful. They just get put into the back room. You can imagine if you can't see and you're in a place where there's no footpaths, where there's no lighting at night. You're in danger of knocking the pot off the fire, burning the children with the boiling water. You're in danger. Some of the hand injuries you see where with a machete, you know how common a machete is used. I mean, you can imagine cutting the coconut, you miss, you chop your hand. The injuries from people falling are just horrific. So what the families do to keep them safe is put them in a dark corner. And that's where they live. For fear of hurting themselves. And so you literally give their lives back.
And it must be a huge boost to their employment possibilities, I guess.
Yeah, we've tried to quantify. We've done studies. Our Australia office did studies with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, to try and quantify. And it's a massive economic benefit from having a blind person no longer a burden, but an active member of the local economy.
And Fred Hollows, of course, a very great New Zealander.
He is indeed. We often forget that Fred was born and bred in New Zealand and campaigned. And this is really Fred's dream. The Fred Hollows Foundation still has the very DNA of Fred. Fred believed in training local people to carry the burden and not send in people from other countries. And so we're still making Fred's dream a reality.
Okay, well, thanks very much for your time there. It's Andrew Bell from the Fred Hollows Foundation.